name is Melissa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the best books that I believe are a great introduction into the adult sci-fi and fantasy genre. I only have one sci-fi book, the rest are fantasy, and yeah, so personally I believe that these are really great introductions and I will explain why, so let's go ahead and get started. The very first book I want to talk about is the Codex Alera series by Jim Butcher. This was actually my first introduction into the adult fantasy genre, so this was the book that I ended up picking up, and yeah, it kind of started my whole love for fantasy pretty much. So this is a very different premise from a lot of the other fantasy books. Our main character lives in a world where magic is everyone has it, but unfortunately he doesn't. The magic system is a little bit different, so these people have these things called elementals, and these elementals kind of manifest into these animal-like beings, and it's kind of like a Harry Potter Pokemon type vibe if you want to go that way. But what I love about this is the writing and just how great it is from the first book, and I've read the first, second, and middle of the third book, so I haven't finished the series, but I really do want to get to that very soon. But you see the main character Tavi grow up from a young boy, you know, through the years, through these different, you know, academies, so there is a school setting. I think the writing of the like military style writing, the combat, all of that stuff, the strategy in it was just extremely well done, and I love this series so much. And if you are thinking about picking up a adult fantasy book, this is my suggestion, just because it does seem a little bit more whimsical, lighthearted in a way, you know, and not too difficult to get into. So yeah, so if you end up going to other YouTubers videos that are similar to this one, you'll see a lot of the Final Empire or Mistborn series, you know, mentioned. But personally I believe that maybe it might be a little bit easier to start off with Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This is a standalone rather than a trilogy, so you only have to read one book rather than three. The reason why I'm going to explain myself is because, like I said, it is a standalone, so it's a lot easier to get into. You don't have this daunting, you know, looming over you. You have three more books or two more books to go while you're reading the first one, and so on and so forth. I really enjoyed this book a lot. It's not so much focused on the action. It's very character based as well as, you know, political as well. There's a lot of humor. There's like a talking sword, who is probably one of my most favorite characters in the book. You also have great character arcs. So I haven't explained what this book is about. It's about two sisters. One of them is basically trained to become the wife of the God King, and the other one, she's kind of like the spare, and she's left to her own devices. She kind of does what she wants. The very last minute, the king makes a decision to send Ciri, you know, the cast-off sister, to go in her stead. So the other princess is like, well, that was my whole life. What else am I gonna do? I need to save my sister. She wasn't trained for this. So you have her character, you know, trying to go save her sister. You have Ciri, who is, you know, just trying to figure all this out. So Warbreaker is definitely a lot more romance based. Romance is not really Sanderson's forte, but if you are kind of going into it and you are looking to dip your toes into, you know, adult fantasy, but are still, you know, you really like romance, this is a great place to start. But that being said, I still highly suggest, you know, the Final Empire. What I think is really great about this is the magic system is set up right at the beginning. It can seem a little bit info dumpy, but the fact that this magic system is so different from everything else. It is so well done. It has, you know, strict, you know, rules to it. And what I think is really easy about this is that it's mostly based in one city. So you're not having to, you know, learn about so many different cultures and so many different cities and so many different characters. It's a dual point of view, so you only have two characters that you're following. So like I said before, if you don't want to commit to a full trilogy, Warbreaker is a great place to start and a wonderful book in its own right. So I know some other fantasy readers might disagree with me on this, but I believe that it's a pretty, you know, easy book to get into, and that would be the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks. So this is a very different magic system as well. It's based on colors, and each color has a different strength. The people can, you know, draft different colors, so some people can only draft one. The more colors that you can draft, the more powerful you are. So this book is so amazing. The characters are morally gray. Like, not anyone is all good or all bad. They all have a mix of in between. I just love seeing all the different point of views, and it's not too difficult. It was extremely interesting. The fight scenes, the political aspects of it, it's just, it's so well done. Like, So I know a lot of fantasy readers might disagree with me because of the fact that the magic system is not spelled out for you right away. It's more told, throughout the story. You get the rules, you get the layout of it, but there's a glossary in the back, and when I first started reading it, I flipped through that, read a little bit of it, and then went back to the story, and everything made sense. It was not confusing at all, when I did that. So if you're willing to take the time out to read, a couple pages in the glossary and, read that information, it's a great way to do it. That's how I did it, and I found it very easy, and I had no problems, understanding the magic system. There are some controversies with the author and his writing, especially about women. And maybe I just wasn't looking for it. So when I first read the first 2 books, I didn't actually see it until I watched a video where they were explaining, what they didn't like about the book. And then I was like, okay, yes, all right. But I don't know. To me, it's still a great book, besides, maybe that one little bit. Overall, I believe that this is a great book and a great series. The 5th one is coming out the end of this year, so I'm really excited, and I am in the beginning couple pages of the 3rd book. So the very last book I want to talk about is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is a dystopian sci-fi novel, and I freaking loved it when I read it. It was so entertaining. There was the fighting scenes, the gore, the power struggle, the class systems, all of it I really enjoyed. So basically in this world, the Reds are kind of the lowest of the low, and they are the miners, so they mine I forgot what it's called, but anyways, they have the worst lives out of everybody. And at the very top, you have the Golds. So something happens to our main character's wife, and he ends up, wanting revenge. So it's a great revenge story. There's a lot of action. It definitely has kind of Hunger Games type vibes, but for new adults. So if you did enjoy those books, or do enjoy those books, Hunger Games, things like that, this is a great step into, new adult science fiction, because it has the similar vibes, except, takes it a couple steps further. And I really enjoyed it. I didn't realize it was a dystopian going into it, but honestly, I was fine, and I really enjoyed it. And I have the 2nd one that I'm intending to read this month, so I'm excited. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching my book recommendations for adult sci-fi and fantasy. This is a genre I love. I love fantasy books, and yeah, these are ones that I kind of started off with. I highly suggest if you read YA fantasy, these are a great, intro into that. And if you've read any of these, or have any thoughts or opinions on them, or have any book recommendations for me, I would love to hear it and chat about it in the comments down below. And I hope you have a great day and happy reading. Bye!